you might have something that's, oh, I just need this and I'll be happy. But most people who are on this journey, you reach a goal, you already have the new goals before you even reach the goal, the first goal, right? So that's part of the path, and that's why they say enjoy the journey. But yeah, so basically, just get started. If you're not into social media and networking and getting yourself out there, and let me tell you, in this new digital world, I have not had to say, what time zone are you in? More times than I have in the past year. And it's kind of like I'm starting to memorize how the hour difference between different time zones because I have to do it so much. But is that a bad thing? Right now you get to know people in all these other parts of the country. It opens you up to markets that you may not have been able to invest in before because now you know somebody there because you went out and you networked. And either you reached out to them or you created a social media profile and they reached out to you. So in any case, anybody you need is out there in the world and can help you get to that next level and can fill those spots that you need to help you progress. And you just never know what that is going to turn into. Questions and it doesn't have to be about social media, it could be about anything with my real estate journey. Yeah.
Do you use specific platforms for social media and do you find they're useful for different things?
So I am on 3. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. I think those just developed by default because that's what I was on personally. And you can see the transition in if you scroll down, that like it used to be all family stuff and now it's all real estate stuff. But I think for building business, LinkedIn is very strong because it still has an algorithm that is pretty new comparatively to Facebook and Instagram. Well, Instagram is owned by Facebook now. But LinkedIn still like pushes people in front of you all the time. If you go into your profile and you see your notifications, it'll say, oh, this post is getting a lot of likes. And it could be somebody you don't even know their name, but it's showing up in your notifications. Or somebody who you're connected with liked or commented on somebody else's post who you're not connected with. So that really, the most organic growth can happen in LinkedIn. Honestly, I have to get a little bit better with LinkedIn. It's still the stepchild of my social media profile, but I need to work with it. But I would say anyone that you work consistently. There's not a lot. I always downplay TikTok. I never even got into it, but there's a lot of real estate investors doing TikTok now and pushing it into their Instagram or whatever, and that's an effective way. So just whatever one you feel comfortable with and you can do consistently.
So maybe it's just my insurance brain, because we with State Farm, that the word underwriter keeps flying in my mind.
Yeah.
In your world, in this investing world, what do you mean when you say underwriting?
Oh, I'm sorry. Underwriting is just analyzing the property.
Okay.
Looking at the income, the expenses, all the different tweaks you can do to make the returns better, like where you can take the property into the future if it's under market rent. What is market rent? Like, are you looking at comparables and figuring out what the real income should be? Like, is a certain expense too high? Maybe their water utility bill is too high, and you have some strategies to bring that down. And what the numbers look like now with the NOI and the cap rate is now versus, or cap rates basically say the same general thing, but they can change. But yeah, whatever the NOI is now versus where you can get the NOI, because that's going to affect the valuation of the building.
Okay.
So I happen to know Nicole, but I think something you said was really powerful. Well, a lot of things are powerful. My neck hurts from going like this so many times. But can you talk about like how you fought through that initial house hack where you said there's going to be a lot of problems and you don't want to get into it? And I think a lot of people might shut down at that point and say real estate sucks. You know, it's not for me. But you had a why, you have a family, you have a bigger goal. Maybe comment on how you fought past that. And then the second thing is, with all your surroundings of mentors and the community and the network, I've certainly found that there's so many people out there willing to help you, where being a New Yorker, I feel like everyone want to throw chocolate. You know, very skeptical of people, right? But I think in our network, you know, people want to help, and people want to kind of have that rising tide with soul coaching now.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll do the second one first because that's an easier question. I honestly, I kind of side-eye people in my head all the time, like, really, why do you want to help me? You know, like, what's going on here? You know, why is everybody so nice? This can't be possible. And I questioned that too before. I know I've asked somebody else, like, how did you continue to curate such a great group of people? Like, do they ever say no? Do you see Josh saying no to somebody? I mean, I can't see it, but I know he must. And I don't know how that looks like. And that's a real skill to tell somebody no and then they still don't badmouth you. I don't know how that works. I need to ask him. But in any case, they've curated such a great group of people. And yeah, it's hard being a New Yorker where you always just want to look for something's wrong is too good to be true kind of thing. So I can't say that I have not had those thoughts, but I just have, I guess, a belief that faith is bigger than fear, and I just need to keep going. And if they are, for whatever reason, what I think initially I'm getting like vibes from them, it'll all work out. It'll all work out. I might have a few extra gray hairs, but it'll work out. And that's the same thing with the Tree family. So I basically, I don't know how I fall through. I think I just have that whole faith, and maybe it's unbridled optimism. But I just think everything is going to work out, and like I have my resources, and it wasn't resources as in people because I didn't have a network then, but resources as in I know where to go to get information for certain things. Like I was a member of the New York City area for a year, so I had some people like in the New York City area I could reach out to if I needed help. I actually didn't reach out to them. That was another thing with my networking. I'm not a good networker, so you don't have to start out that way. You don't have to be, you know, the best talker in the world to get started and to move forward. But I think it's just keeping your eye on the prize. Like, to me, and honestly, I'll say, okay, so it's all about your why. Everyone always hears you have to establish your why, and your strong why is going to get you over those humps and all those roadblocks that you're going to come across in real estate, because you're going to come across roadblocks when it comes to real estate. It's like no question about it. Nothing goes perfect. But to me, I started my real estate journey in education with Rich Dad, Poor Dad classes, and I went to a 3-day seminar. My mom came on the last day because I was just so excited about the possibility of real estate. I was like, oh my God, like regular people can do this. It's not just big corporations. I don't have to be a millionaire, right? So I brought my mom. I was like, you have to hear what they have to say. You have to hear what they have to say. And so at the end, when they call you to run to the back of the room and sign up for their coaching, guess what I did? But I didn't have any money, so guess what my mom did? So luckily, like, she believed in me, and I think that was the driving force, is that my mom believed in me. Like, and I came from a household, I had 4 brothers, 4 younger brothers, and my mom was the only breadwinner because my dad was on disability. So imagine feeding a family of 7 off of like the salary, not one salary because she had 2 to 3 jobs, but she put a big chunk of money, biggest I've ever like heard of at one point, into that education. So I said, you know what, she really believes that I can do this, and I owe her money back, so I can't really stop until I can pay her back. So, and I don't want to disappoint her, and the whole point of me doing this is because I wanted her to retire. I was tired of seeing her work 2 to 3 jobs for my entire like high school career. So that was really my big motivating factor, because that was before I got married, before I had kids. So once that happened, then that added to my why. And then now it's like I want to help my community at large, like get financially stable. So that added to my why. So my why just keeps growing as my progress and my journey keeps developing. Oh, okay.
If you had, so if there was like 3 things you could say everyone should do as like homework or things to take away, what would you say there would be to take action on?
To take action and get started in your real estate investment journey?
Yeah.
One is definitely finding a community. Find a community, a mentor, coach, group, something, like people who are experienced and or who are where you want to be, or at least somewhere further in that journey than you are. That's critical. 2 is definitely networking. So putting yourself out there, making your posts. I highly recommend creating some type of presence for yourself and making posts. But if you're super shy and that's not your alley, start with the outreach first, you know, outreach to other like networks and real estate investors. But so community, finding that mentor, posting on social media, and education, because you can't network without having some value to add, which is the education that you're doing. So even though I wasn't networking, I had years of education, so I was able to kind of jump in, and it wasn't that hard for me to understand terms or to get jumped up on, even though it was just real estate strategies in general, but I was able to jump into multifamily and not have a big, you know, roadblock in learning about this new strategy, is because I had already been educating, and that's why I was able to add value, even though my experience wasn't at the level that some other people's experiences were. So those are the three things. And even educating on, everything doesn't have to be paid. If you're starting, it does depend on where you're starting out at. There's a lot of free resources online. There's a lot of free groups online too. I do think there is value in paying a little bit for something, because then you get out of that circle of just tire kickers. But you never know, because there are people who are super experienced in the free groups too, who are just there to add value. So just kind of searching those people out and noticing the type of responses they do to questions or posts and stuff, and reaching out to them. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, mentor, community, education.
Can I ask a follow-up question on education? So I'm always suspicious of, like, I don't think I'm good at spending money on anything, but I'm suspicious like paying for mentorship and stuff. So have you got any advice on like where to find the good ones versus the ones that seem like, you know, I'm not so good?
It's basically like hearing people like me and this group, and we're founded like the DG, you know, and Make It Happen Mastermind, and just asking like, or researching different groups and finding out who the members of those groups are, and reaching out to those people individually and asking for their honest feedback. If you're reaching out to them offline, most people will tell you the truth. Like if they don't like something, you know, or there's something that's lacking a little bit in this program or that program. Like I said, was not good at networking, so I did not do that before I joined my groups, and I figured, it'll work out. And it did, so I'm lucky. But yeah, I would say you have to kind of dig in, find these groups or people who are following certain hashtags, and normally they end up being in the same type of groups, and just talking to a couple of people who have those mentorship programs, and you can kind of vet out which one sounds like the best for you. Then you just got to take a leap of faith after that.
Thanks.
All right, so if there's no more questions, I guess we can get a drink and network.
Good job, Paul.